All right, so everybody should be on the front side of our day 3 notes. If you didn't finish day 2, put it away. This isn't the time to work on it. We're going to jump right in. So I'm not going to do any pre-notes. All I'm going to do is work examples for you today. So our first 2 examples, these are 2-step equations. These are our favorite ones to solve because it's only 2 steps. Our goal is to get the variable by itself, and whatever variable is stated in the problem, this one is a y, this one is an n, you don't get to change it. That is the variable. I prefer x, but it doesn't matter. If it's stated as a y, you got to keep it as a y. And our goal is to get the variable by itself. And typically, this is not 100% of the time, but most of the time, almost all of the time, when you have a 2-step equation, you do the addition subtraction first, and then you get rid of the multiplication division. So let's do this. So for our first problem, over here, our first step is going to be to get rid of this plus 4. So what's the opposite or inverse of adding 4? Subtracting 4. If at any point you need a calculator, I do have graphing calculators. They don't have batteries yet. But if you want to get just a simple function calculator, it adds, subtracts, multiplies, and divides. So even if I'm speaking, you can get up and get a calculator if you're like, ooh, that's too big for me to do in my head. Go get a calculator. I am not testing whether or not you can do arithmetic. I'm testing whether or not you can solve an equation. So I don't want you to get questions wrong because you struggle with arithmetic. 19 minus 4 is 15. Don't forget the rest of your equation. And our very last step is to get rid of multiply by 3. So what is the inverse of multiply? Divide. So let's take over the 3 and we will divide by 3. If you were taught to like apply it on both sides and mark things out, that's fine. I might write my problem different, but that's okay. You can do it like me or you can do it like you were shown in Algebra 1. That's fine with me too, as long as I see work and not just answers. What is 15 divided by 3? Beautiful, and we are done. How could I check to see that my answer is correct? You can plug it back in. You can plug it back in. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. You can always plug it back in. And that's also a test taking skill. I've already told you that your tests in here are multiple choice. So a test taking skill, you always have the answer choices. You can plug them into the equation to see which one makes the equation true. Over here, we've got to get rid of addition, subtraction first. So what's the inverse of add 3? Subtract 3. So that means the -5 is getting more negative. Again, if you struggle with, especially with negatives, I don't think the little calculators are as helpful. A graphing calculator is helpful. And again, at any time, if you need to get up and get a calculator, if you get a graphing one, that's fine. You just got to grab batteries and put it in there. So we've got -5. We're getting more negative. So we get -8. And then we have n over 4. All right, our last step to get n by itself. What's the inverse of divide by 4? Multiply by 4. So over here, I'm going to multiply by 4. A negative times a positive is going to be a negative. What's 8 times 4? 32. Beautiful. How do you feel so far? Good. And again, if you're awesome at mental math and you're pretty flawless, then do mental math. If you know that you struggle and you make small mistakes, don't do that to yourself. Use a calculator. We're gonna chop up the day and play Family Feud. Okay, our next problems are just multi-step. So they are multi-step. And for these, you have to make sure that you combine like terms before you get started. So our goal is to always get down to two steps. And so we need to, if you have x's on both sides, the way that I tackle those, technically it's not wrong. You can just move it to whatever side you want. But what I like to do is move towards the bigger x or the bigger variable, whoever is bigger. I use that one and it's like a magnet and it draws over the smaller one. So when I look at the x's, I have a 6 on this side and a 3 on this side. Who's bigger? 6. So I'm going to take the 3 over. And it's okay if we do multiple steps in one. I can also, because I'm bringing variables over to this side, I can bring this constant over to this side. So the inverse of subtracting 3 would be to, subtracting 5 would be to add 5. So in one step, I'm going to bring the variables onto this side and the constants to this side. So on the left, I have 6 minus 3 is 3x. On the right, I have 6 plus 5 is 11. My next step to get x by itself, what do I do with this 3? Divide. Why does that feel weird or icky? Yeah, it's not going to divide evenly. But guess what? Fractions need love too, and that's okay. Our answer is 11 over 3. Do not give me decimals. In this class, I like fractions. So we just leave it and we move on. For the next problem, for E, it looks like that I have some like terms on both sides that I need to take care of. So on the left side, what I notice is that I have a 2 and a negative 15. For both of these, I need to put together the 2 and the negative 15. I need to put those together. And then on the right side, I have some W terms. So I have this W and this W that I need to put together. I am not crossing the equal sign. No operations change. So on the left side, the 4W, I'm not doing anything with it. I'll just jot it down. Here, I have 2 minus 15 or negative 15 plus 2. It doesn't matter which way you want to think about it. I'm getting more positive. So I'm going to have negative 13 equals, if I put the W terms together, 6 minus 2 is 4. And I didn't do anything with the negative 13. If it's on the same side, the signs don't change or the operation doesn't change. Now, I have variables on both sides. Who's bigger, 4 or 4?
They're both the same.
It's the same. So, like, does it even really matter? Nope, not really. If I was to take the 4W over here, this disappears. So it doesn't really matter what you do. The variable just disappeared. And the problem is left with negative 13 equals negative 13. Is that true? Yes. So anytime that you get a true statement, anytime that it is true, so if the variable cancels and it is true, and it has to be exactly the same. It can't be negative 13 equals positive 13. Those are not the same. It has to be exactly the same. If it is true, if it creates a true statement, your answer is infinitely many solutions. And you can abbreviate that with IMS. Write it down one time so you know what IMS stands for, but it means infinitely many solutions. It means that X can be any number. X can be 7, X can be negative 13, X can be 142. It doesn't matter. X can be anything. There are infinitely many solutions. So anytime that you have a special case where the variables cancel and you're left with a true statement, you get infinitely many solutions. What do you think your answer is if the variables cancel and you're left with a false statement? I heard it. What? No solution. That is correct. So if it's true, anything can be an answer. If it's false, nothing can be an answer. And so on your homework, you have a special case where the variable cancels, but I'm going to give you a hint because you also have an answer bank at the bottom. Like one of them is a no solution, not an infinitely many, but that's what happens is that the variables cancel. All right. Does this say pause?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't think it pauses. I could do it like this. All right, continuing on with the notes. And I don't know why it starts back at A and B. These are just multi-step equations. And so the first one, ooh, I noticed parentheses. What do we do if we have parentheses? Distribute, very good. Why are my tabs not over here? 3 and 2. Sure. Okay. Yes, we need to distribute. And distribute just means multiply. Nothing happens on the left, we rewrite it. 16x plus 3 equals negative 2 times, and what's the number in front of x if there isn't one? 1, very good. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2x. Negative times a negative is going to be a positive. And 2 times 1 is 2. All right, now we've got a situation where we've got x's on both sides. We've got constants on both sides. So we got to pick a side for the x's and we got to pick a side for the constants. So I take a look at who's bigger. I have 16 and negative 2. Who is bigger? 16. So I'm going to bring the x's on this side. The opposite or inverse of subtracting 2 is adding 2. And then in the same step, I can go ahead and bring over the plus 3. The inverse is subtract 3. So on the left, I've got 16 plus 2 is 18. And then on the right, what is 2 minus 3? Negative 1. And then my last step, how do I get rid of multiply by 18? Divide by 18. Okay, 1 does not divide by 18, and that is all right. Our answer is negative 1/18, and we just box it and call it a day. Don't give me decimals. You don't have any fractions on your homework. That's nice. All right, my next question. This one doesn't look fun. No fractions in your answers. You do have a question like this where you're multiplying by a fraction. We still need to distribute. Y'all know that when you have parentheses, you can distribute. We distribute into both terms. But why does it feel weird to multiply by 2/3? He likes fractions. It's okay. So what we need to know is that when you distribute in the 2/3, so you've got 2/3, the top number will multiply and the bottom number will always divide. And to be honest, it doesn't actually matter what order that you do that in. You just need to do both of them. So sometimes if it makes you have a big number, you might divide first. But let me show you how you do this, because usually you can actually do it in your head. Like I know you don't think you can multiply by a fraction in your head, but you can. So when we multiply by 6, what's 2 times 6 divided by 3? 4. Look, you just did it in your head. So that is 4y. Let's do the next one, but let's do it in the opposite order because maybe you don't want to do 12 times or 2 times 18 and then you get a bigger number. So let's divide first. What is 18 divided by 3? 6. What's 6 times 2? 12. Okay, you can do it in any order and there's a negative sign, so don't forget the negative sign. So you just have to multiply by the top number and divide by the bottom number. And that's how you multiply by a fraction. If you have a calculator, obviously you can type it in as a fraction. Go ahead and close your Chromebook while we're doing notes, please. Thank you. I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem. Plus 6y is equal to negative 42. All right, before we can solve this, we've got to combine like terms. So what I notice is that I have some y's on the same side that I need to put together. And since I'm going to leave the y's on the left side because they're already on the left side, I can also in the same step, I can move the 12. So I can move the 12 to the other side. So I need to put together on the same side. So since they're on the same side, the signs will not change. I got to put these together. But I am going to move negative 12. The opposite of subtract is to add 12 to the other side. And I can do these in the same step. So I have 4 plus 6 is 10. So I have 10y. And if you want to do it step by step, you sure can. But you got a lot of practice in Algebra 1 solving equations. So I feel like it's okay if we do 2 steps at once. And then I bring over the 12, negative 42 plus 12. Negative 30. So again, stuff like that, there is no shame in using a calculator. I would rather you use a calculator and get the right answer than try to do it in your head and get the wrong answer. To get rid of multiply by 10, we need to divide by 10 and we will be done. What is negative 30 divided by 10? Negative 3. Beautiful. Even when it's an ugly problem, how could I check my answer? I could plug it in. All right, so example 4, you're flipping over your paper and we are now looking at the back side. This is a TSI type question. This is a big one. So this one says if 4g plus 5 equals 9, what's the value of 4g minus 2? What the what? So this type of question is very popular. You're gonna see it on TSI, guaranteed. So first step, we've got to solve for g. Second step, we've got to go through and evaluate by plugging in what g is. So you can't even do the second part where it says, what's the value of 4g minus 2 if we don't know what g is. So let's solve for g. We're going to solve for g over here. Nice thing is that this is a 2-step equation. We can do this. It's just 2 steps. Okay. So our first step, what's going to be our first step to solve for g? Minus 5. Very good. We got to subtract 5, rewrite everything. 4g is equal to 9 minus 5 is 4. What's my next step to get g by itself? Divide by 4. What's 4 divided by 4? Very good. G is equal to 1. So I just solved for g. Now I can take g is equal to 1, and I'm going to tell you that a lot of times on TSI, that first step results in a fraction. And when you plug it in for step 2, it ends up to be a nice, pretty whole number. But a lot of people get to that first step and then they go find their answer and circle it. That's where everybody misses this question. Now you got to take this and we got to plug it in. So I'm going to plug it in over here. 4, and I'm going to plug in g is equal to 1 minus 2. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So we just plugged it in and evaluated for g. So on your homework, these are multiple choice questions, but you still have to show me all the work. So I need to see that in 10 you solve for y, and 11 you solve for x, and then I want to see that you plug them in. So that is just like question 10 and 11 on the homework. These are problems that we have to actually write out the algebraic expression, and then we're going to solve them. These are kind of challenging, and on the back side of your homework, questions 12, 13, and 14, there is an answer bank. How many spots are in the answer bank? How many things are in the answer bank? 6. This is on the back, sorry. This is on the back. There's 6 things, and there's only 3 questions. That means 3 of them are not going to be used. So you're only marking off 3 of them. And before you actually go solve the problems, I would probably come check with me that you got the right equations. You don't want to solve equations that aren't correct. So, and these are kind of challenging again on your homework, or sorry, on your quizzes and tests. They're mostly multiple choice. So you've got that extra crutch of finding your answer, because you're going to see like examples of how these are written out. So when we solve these, we read through them. 6 less than a number equals 13. The really easy part is equals 13. I already know that. Something equals 13. That's the easy part. So the other part says 6 less than a number. That means I had to have something, and then I took 6 away. I don't care what you call a number. I'm just going to use x. So I had to have some number, and then it's 6 less than that. And then we read it and we make sure it makes sense. 6 less than a number. 6 less than a number equals 13. I think that's correct. I think we did good. So now let's solve it. This is one step. What do I do to get x by itself? Add 6. What is 13 plus 6? Thank you. All right, that's done. So I don't have answer choices for once you solve it. I only have answer choices for setting up the equation. The next one, this is a little bit more tricky. 5 times the difference of a number and 4 is 15. I always start with the easy stuff. So is 15. So the next thing I see is the difference of a number and 4. What operation is difference? Subtract. So we've got the difference of a number and 4. So we've got some number and 4, and it's subtracting. It doesn't actually matter if you have the 4 first or not. Does not matter. And then last, we've got 5 times this stuff. So I'm going to put 5 outside. 5 times the difference of a number and 4. It doesn't say 5 times a number. It says 5 times the difference of, so it has to be 5 times all of that. All right, let's solve this. What would you like to do first to solve? Okay, we can distribute. So we get 5 times x, and then 5 times 4. Yep, very good. So 2 steps. What do I do first? Very good. Add 20. And again, if you struggle with these, use a calculator. 15 plus 20 is 35. What's my last step to get x by itself? Divide by 5. Please make sure you show me all your work. What is 35 divided by 5? Beautiful. And we are done with notes for today.